Hey, In2Picklers, welcome to episode 19 of our podcast, Pickleball Therapy, a podcast designed to help you with pickleball improvement and hopefully help you have a better understanding of pickleball and kind of be more chill on the court as you play. This week, we're going to talk about a couple of things. I'm going to share with you some stories about reasonable expectations and setting reasonable expectations when you're out on the pickleball court. I think that'll really help when you're out there. And then at the end, we're going to talk a little bit about online learning, what you can and cannot do with online learning. And I'm going to share with you the really, really cool story of Julius Yego. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. A Kenyan track and field star. You're going to like it. Stay tuned. You've studied the pickleball videos, maybe read a pickleball book, taken a lesson or two. But there's just something missing, something to complete the whole picture. That's where VIPickleball comes in. VIPickleball is the most immersive pickleball learning community available today. You can check out more information at wearepickleball.com. See you in the community. This last week, I had an opportunity to play some really fun and competitive matches with good friends of mine and just excellent pickleball players here in the Tampa Bay area. We had a foursome and we played 2v2 for something like 7 or 8 games. It was a lot of fun, very competitive. It'd been a while since I played that competitively. And, like anytime you're playing competitively, anytime I'm playing competitively, I want to perform the best that I can. I felt that I played well. I felt that some of my shots were kind of missing. And, obviously got down on myself. Maybe not obviously, I probably shouldn't do this, but I got down on myself a little bit out there. And, made me think about, afterwards I was thinking about it a little bit. And I think I went out there with unreasonable expectations. And I think it's something that a lot of us do as pickleball players. Sometimes we go out on the court with unreasonable expectations. And when you have unreasonable expectations on the court or in anything in life, right, you can't help but set yourself up to be disappointed with those, with the expectations, right? So you go out there with, expectations of being a billionaire and you're only a thousandaire or whatever, whatever the expectation is. You expect, to hit at a level of 100 and you hit at a level of 80, by definition, you have failed your mark, right? You've not met your mark. And I think the way our brains are wired, I'm not a psychologist or an expert, but I've read and enough about it, or not enough, but I've read about it and I've listened to podcasts and read some books or listened to books about it. And, what's interesting is the way our brains are wired. We have that kind of that lizard brain piece of our brain, the reptile part of our brain that, it looks at everything in terms of wins and losses and did you succeed or not succeed? And obviously that makes sense in terms of, were you able to secure enough food to eat? Were you able to secure shelter to protect yourself from the elements and things like that? But it probably doesn't meet the task or doesn't rise to the task when you're dealing with something like, did I hit a small plastic wiffle ball successfully over the net without letting the other team hit it hard back at us, right? So the pop up or something like that. I mean, it really doesn't make a lot of sense for our brain to, be as cruel or as harsh as it can be on us sometimes, And, we did a whole series on mental and emotional training with Coach Pete. If you haven't heard those podcasts, I highly recommend them to you. They started episode 9 and continue from there. But, there's 5 episodes on it. Super, really good stuff in there. But, in terms of reasonable or unreasonable expectations, I think, when you go out on the pickleball court, and as an example on the last week when we played, I missed a few drives, and drives are part of my game that are usually pretty spot on. They're kind of a highlight of my game is my forehand drive. And then I started thinking about it, and I had been working for the last couple of weeks, I've been working a lot on my backhand dinking and third shots and transition zone work on my backhand. And that actually worked reasonably well, meaning that, that part of the game was working pretty well because I've been drilling on it. But I haven't really hit forehand drives in a while, especially not in a competitive setting. And so I think it's unreasonable for me to expect that I'm going to succeed with my forehand drive at a rate that I'd be happy with, right? If I have A, not been drilling it, and B, not been playing competitively where I'm using that forehand drive, in a competitive setting. So, it's really a matter, I think, of, when we go out there and we miss a shot, or say we miss a backhand dink, or we miss a return of serve or something like that. If you haven't been working on the game, say for the last couple of weeks, or you've been on the shelf because of COVID or whatever, or weather, I think it's unreasonable to say, well, I should be able to hit that shot just because, we are we're human, so we're prone to error. We make errors in our everyday lives, and stub our toe here, take a fall there, whatever. And it's no different on the pickleball court. And when we go on the pickleball court, if we haven't played in a while, or we haven't been drilling a particular stroke, and we miss that stroke that maybe historically has been good for us, I think maybe we should, instead of getting upset or getting down on ourselves, maybe reset your expectations, reset the reasonableness of your expectations. And even in the best of circumstances, when you've been drilling, say you're drilling every day and playing all the time and just, really in the flow of the game, missing a shot here and there is simply part of the equation, right? It's part of the expectation that you should have when you're playing pickleball. So my suggestion, I guess, at the end of all this is that, when we go out and play, let's have reasonable expectations about, what we expect from ourselves in terms of our performance out there. I mean, I think it's healthy to have a good context of what we're doing anyway, in terms of what, we're hitting a wiffle ball on a court with friends. We're not hunting for food to survive, or trying to fend off an attack or something like that. It's just a game, right? So if we have that context, that's even healthier. But within that context, I think having reasonable expectations of ourselves in terms of where we are in the game, how much time we've been devoting to the game recently, and things like that can help you maintain an even keel when you're out there, and simply accept the fact that things like missed shots, pop-ups, just mistakes that you probably don't want to have happen will happen on the pickleball court, and hopefully that'll give us more enjoyment when we're out there. I'm going to share with you the story of Julius Yego, nicknamed Mr. YouTube. You'll understand why in a second. It's a fascinating story. You're going to like it. Stay tuned. Is someone on your holiday list an aspiring pickleball player? If so, check out Play Pickleball, a beginner's guide. It has everything in there that a player needs to start playing pickleball, including some strategies and tips to get started in the game. Available in digital or print copy at Amazon.com. Happy holidays. If you're listening to this podcast, chances are you're a pickleball player. If you're a pickleball player, chances are you want to improve as a pickleball player. So the question is, what kind of things can I do as a pickleball player to improve, to get better, get more confident on the court? In researching the latest in online teaching techniques for VIPickleball, the work that CJ Johnson and I are doing at VIPickleball, I came across a story of Julius Yego. I thought it was a fascinating story, so I thought I'd share it with you because, we're all looking for ways to learn. And I think the story of Mr. Yego is very interesting in terms of, how you can bring to bear, if you really want to learn, you can bring to bear different methods to learn to get to your objectives. Mr. Yego grew up in Kenya. As a young man, he became interested in the javelin throw. He had seen some videos on YouTube on the javelin throw, and he became interested in the javelin throw. Now, at the time in Kenya, there was really no infrastructure to learn the javelin throw. Kenyan athletes were known as distance runners, but not in other parts of track and field, including the javelin. So Mr. Yego just dedicated himself to studying the techniques through watching YouTube videos and learning on his own, and basically advanced to a position where he was recognized internationally. Ultimately, he did get some scholarships to have some in-person training with some coaches in Europe and things like that. But in the beginning of his career began as a YouTube student. Basically, his nickname on the circuit was Mr. YouTube, was they called him when he went to championships. But in 2015, he won the World Championship, and then in 2016 Summer Olympics in Rio, he got the silver, despite throwing only once because he had suffered a right ankle injury. So here you have an athlete who basically, began his career as a javelin thrower by using online resources to learn techniques, study techniques, and things like that, and then was able ultimately to win a world championship in his sport and a silver medal at the Olympics in his sport because of his foundation with online learning. So why is Mr. Yego's story relevant to us as pickleball players? I think what it shows is it shows the amount that you can learn through online learning, the way that you can advance in a sport through online learning. That's something that that CJ and I have learned through our experience teaching is, we got into online learning this year, partly because of COVID. The COVID restrictions kind of forced us into an online environment more. So we got into the online environment. We started using it more and more to actually teach students. What was remarkable wasn't that online learning worked, because CJ and I both knew that online learning would be effective. What I guess was a little bit surprising was how effective it is. The feedback from members in our VI Pickleball community has been that the online instruction that they've received through VI Pickleball has changed their pickleball paths for the better. They understand the game. They're more confident and comfortable on the court. They are just, way more competent as pickleball players on the court. The bottom line is that you can learn a lot about pickleball through online study. There's a lot of information available on YouTube, including on In2Pickle and Better Pickleball on those channels. The advantage of an online community like VIPickleball over just general YouTube videos is that in VIPickleball, you get step-by-step videos basically breaking down different strokes, different concepts, different strategies. You also have the advantage of having availability of online coaching through CJ and myself, and you also get the advantage of the community. So basically you have a community that supports you. So while Mr. Yego obviously had great success starting with the YouTube, the way that he really took that information and advanced with it was when the coaching piece got involved in it. And I would bet you dollars to donuts that if Mr. Yego had something like VIPickleball available to him, he would have welcomed it because he would have had the content that he was looking for, so the online content he's looking for in an organized fashion. He would have had the availability of some coaching and also the support of a community that would have helped him get to the goals that he was trying to achieve. If you're ready to take your game to the next level, highly recommend that you check out VIPickleball. You can go to wearepickleball.com. You can download our 7 tips for 2021 on there. You can put in your email so that you're notified of future webinars and events that we have. The VIPickleball community was built with one objective in mind, and that is to help you become the best pickleball player that you can be. Thanks for joining us for episode 19 of our podcast. If you enjoyed Pickleball Therapy, give it a rating on your podcast platform. That helps others find the podcast. Also share it with your friends. Remember, if you like the podcast, they probably will too. Stay safe out there.